Okay, why don't we go ahead and get started? Excellent. I'm Jay Fogarty, Dean of the Florida State University College of Medicine. It is my pleasure to welcome you all here today. President Thrasher, Provost McCurry, honored guests, family, and friends of our own Dr. Myra Hurt, both here today and on our webcast, seen around the world. Welcome to the FSU College of Medicine. I have to tell you, it looks to me like this is a tough ticket here today. Those of you, I wonder if there's any scalpers outside to bring folks in, because we know how many people actually wanted to be here with you, Myra, and we appreciate how many friends you have. But here we are again in a small group, socially distanced because of COVID, to once again make a small attempt to celebrate the professional career and accomplishments of our friend, colleague, and mentor, Dr. Myra Hurt. We tried before to plan this with a large group, but I suspect that COVID has actually truly spared us from actually deciding how many of the hundreds of friends around the world that we could or should invite to celebrate with us today. So we were left to do this in stages. In June, we invited Myra and her family here to host a book signing of a recently published book with a very appropriate title, Breaking the Mold, the Academic Pioneers Who Bucked Conventional Wisdom to Create the Florida State University College of Medicine. We had finished a founder's wall at that time to honor Myra, and we knew that we couldn't keep anything a secret for very long, but we did manage to surprise her at that book signing event. We unveiled the founder's wall at that time with a great portrait of Myra along with Senator Darrell Peden and President Emeritus Sandy Dellenberg, the visionaries behind this amazing school. It was incredibly appropriate that our own president, John Thrasher, was here for that event, since he played such a pivotal role in shepherding this school through the legislative process. Right outside the dean's office, there's a legislative bill signed on June 6, 2000. Hard to believe it was 20 years ago. Establishing this school. President Thrasher's name is prominently displayed on that document as Speaker of the House at the time of the signing. His name is also obviously prominent on this building, named in his honor when it was completed in 2005. Today, we're back for more. To bestow Myra's Professor Emeritus title to her, to be followed by President Thrasher and Provost McCurry to present a very special FSU award. You see the President Emeritus framed document behind you. I'd like to read to you what it says. Myra Hurt, your name is synonymous with the Florida State University College of Medicine, whose hallways, research labs, and classrooms carry your DNA. Indeed, this college has nearly 1,500 alumni physicians to date, hail from a wonderfully diverse cross-section of society, in itself a remarkable note for those familiar with medical education. And they've already provided compassionate care for more than 1 million patients across the nation. Access to care was not always a birthright. Yet this college might not exist save for your fearlessness, leadership, and failure is not an option approach to taking on almost insurmountable challenges. In more than 30 years at Florida State, your combination of brilliant insight, creativity, relentless determination, commitments, and energy, not to mention command of the conference room, spun a string of accomplishments as varied as the university's course guide. You created the PhD program in biomedical sciences, which today has produced more than 50 graduates. In 2002, you published in Molecular Biology in the Cell Paper of the Year, by now cited more than 1,000 times, received patents and licenses for discoveries made in your lab, established the Translational Science Laboratory, mentored 27 undergraduate DIS students, 47 graduate student committees, and 10 PhD graduate students, many now in tenure-track faculty positions. You bolstered and strengthened the PIMS program for 10 years with new scholastic principles and a holistic admissions process that became the model for how the FSU College of Medicine works today. You recognized the need and championed the development of pipeline programs from Stride to Honors Medical Scholars to Bridge that made possible the success of the medical school's admission philosophy and ability to achieve its noble mission. You invented senior tutorials at Florida State early in your career, and as you were turning out the lights on your way out the door, paused for another brainstorm, fighting for consensus among leadership of 7 FSU colleges and thus establishing the IMS program, the Interdisciplinary Medical Science program major, and in its only 3rd year now the 2nd most sought after major on campus. Though you will forever be remembered for being light years ahead of the AMC and AMA in understanding the need for more physicians in this country, especially in primary care, we hereby and humbly recognize the entirety of your Category 5 impact on this university by appointing you as Professor of Biomedical Sciences, Emeritus at the FSU College of Medicine. Congratulations. I would now like to turn the program over to President Thrasher and Provost McCurry for a very spectacular award for you.
Well, thank you, Dean. It's truly an honor for Sally and I to be here today. I know with everything that's been going on on the campus and around the country and the world, to have a special event like this is almost, it brings me to tears almost for the fact that we are doing something so important and honoring somebody so distinguished. So it's really a special privilege to be here with the provost, with the dean, of course, and with the family and all the distinguished guests that are here. You know, it's been 11 years since Florida State University bestowed its highest distinction, the James D. Westcott Distinguished Service Medal, on anyone, and only 8 other people have ever received this award. It's rare, it's extraordinary, it's an incredible recognition presented only to the most extraordinary individuals. Myra Hurt is one of those exceptional people. Her life work, as the dean described at this school, and the many accomplishments and the many lives she has touched has made such a big difference. She has exemplified the university's highest ideals, and her distinguished service will have a lasting and enduring impact on Florida State University and certainly this College of Medicine. In fact, as I think the dean said, and he was reading pretty fast, so much to get in. In fact, it's probably fair to say that Myra, without Myra, and that's in all due respect to Sandy Dallenbert and Darrell Peden, and certainly yours truly, that there would not be an FSU medical school without her incredible work and dedication. She not only played a crucial role in establishing this first new medical school in the 21st century, she poured her heart and soul into creating a school that trains, as we all know now, compassionate, patient-centered doctors who serve their communities that really need them. You're most deserving of this tribute, Myra. And you and I have a long history together, and I have enormous respect for you. I'm honored to call you my friend and honored to be here today with the provost to present this award, and I'd ask her now if she would read the citation.
Whereas Myra M. Hurt, PhD, has distinguished herself through her 33-year career at Florida State University as a researcher, teacher, mentor, and innovator whose work has benefited innumerable students and positively shaped this entire university in ways that will be felt for years to come. And whereas Dr. Hurt is renowned for her passion for teaching and mentoring students, her career has taken her from teaching middle school biology to teaching undergraduate, graduate, and medical school students, during which time she won numerous awards for her work, including the FSU Teaching Incentive Award for Excellence in College Teaching. And whereas Dr. Hurt has served on 6 undergraduate honors committees, 58 graduate student committees, and has mentored 13 of her own PhD graduate students, many of whom currently hold tenure-track positions. And whereas Dr. Hurt earned funding from the National Science Foundation, the National Institutes of Health, and the American Cancer Society to fund vital research, including being part of teams that produced innovative, award-winning work. And whereas Dr. Hurt has embarked upon research that has yielded significant discovery, patent applications, and publications, including being part of the team that authored the 2002 Molecular Biology of the Cell Paper of the Year, which has been cited nearly 1,000 times. And whereas Dr. Hurt played a crucial role and displayed tremendous leadership in helping to establish the FSU College of Medicine, She worked to make contacts throughout the state, building coalitions and bridging communication with the Florida legislature to help found the college in 2000 before becoming acting dean during the school's formative stages. Her foresight, hard work, and sheer will ensured the school's early success and eventual status as the first new medical school to be accredited in the United States in the 21st century. And whereas the predominant thinking was that the nation had a surplus of doctors, Dr. Hurt knew better and successfully presented the case for a new medical school, in part by convincing the state legislature of the country's emerging healthcare needs in the 21st century. She identified the need for more physicians, particularly in primary care, and helped set the stage for the success of the college while also helping to address the vital demand for physicians nationwide. Whereas Dr. Hurt established numerous programs to facilitate student success. She obtained funding for science students together, reaching instructional diversity and excellence, which provided opportunities for rural and underserved middle and high school students to be exposed to the healthcare field. She developed the Bridge program, which provides participants a year of preparation and mentoring before entering medical school. And whereas Dr. Hurt also established the PhD program in biomedical sciences and served as the founding director of the Honors Medical Scholars Program, which gives undergraduate students the opportunity to build bonds with the medical school and apply for early admission. And whereas Dr. Hurt has established a track record of exemplary achievement and success across a wide swath of academia, while holding numerous titles, including Acting Dean of the College of Medicine, Associate Dean for Student Affairs and Admissions, Senior Associate Dean for Research and Graduate Programs, Senior Associate Dean for Interdisciplinary Medical Sciences, and to her many, many students, Professor. And whereas the criteria for the Westcott Medal specify that this honor is reserved for those whose life and work merit exceptional recognition and exemplify the values of virus, moral, physical, and intellectual strength, artes, appreciation of aesthetics and the beauty of intellectual pursuits, and mores, respect for customs, character, and tradition.
So, just to be clear, without making sure everybody understands, this is a presidential award. It's the first one I've given since I've been here in 6 years. I don't believe there was one with the previous president, and I think the last one was TK who gave one. So it's really an honor for me to do this. So now, Myra, now therefore be it resolved that I, John Thrasher, President of Florida State University, am proud to award the Westcott Medal to Myra M. Hurt, PhD, with the thanks and gratitude of the entire Florida State University community. Congratulations.
Feel all right here, please. Right here, please. Thank you. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And we'll step back. We'll do 2 more. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I want to say first, can I take my mask off?
Yeah,
Yes.
I think you can.
Okay. Let me get this off my ears. First of all, I would say this. I do not walk on water. I do not. And I did not do any of these things by myself. I wanted to tell anybody that hasn't read my book, it is totally online, and you can download it at the college website.
There you go.
Here it is,
Yeah.
right here. Let me show it to the camera.
All
For anybody that hasn't seen the beautiful cover that our people here in the upstairs, the art people and the layout people, the design people did for my beautiful book. And I did not do it by myself. We had the college communication scoop and Ron Harding, the editor, and my daughter Samantha helped with the words a little bit too, and the art layout people and design people. And as I said, it's online and you can read it or download it. And I think you might enjoy it. If you want a good story, I left all the bad parts out. There are no bad guys other than the accreditors. Sorry, Dan Fogarty, I had to say that. There were a few obstacles to overcome. Anyway, I wanted to say that I want to thank the administration of FSU and my college for making my career help me have the opportunity. Here we go, guys. I had a stroke a few years ago and I cry at the drop of a pen. I have the opportunity to meet my life mission, which is to help students find the pathway to success. Those students that have talents that they might not otherwise have the opportunity. And I've had the opportunity to help physicians and future physicians and scientists find their dream career and be successful. And I've had that opportunity with a number of people that I've mentored. I talked to one first thing this morning who called me from Tampa. He got certified as a orthopedic surgeon early this summer, and he's working in a trauma residency, orthopedic residency in Tampa right now, and will be probably working with the underserved the rest of his life, and he is doing so well. And I am so proud of him. He's one of my mentees. And all of my graduate students, some of whom I extracted from situations they did not enjoy, like one of the ones standing right over here. And he's doing so well. And he and my lab merger, Beth Westcott, kept my science alive while I was giving birth to a medical school that was not necessarily as easy a birth as these three sitting out here. It was a little bit more difficult. And so I needed a little more help, and they were so great to keep that science alive. I used to say that lab mating was the most fun I had every week. And Ray is doing so well as an assistant professor in the medical school. He's gotten his own NIH grant, and his science is alive and doing well, and he's teaching very well in the medical school, and his reviews from teaching are great, and I have great hopes for him as he moves forward in his career. And my students, former students, I think all coast to coast may be watching today. Ari at UCLA in a fellowship in cancer pathology, and Sarah at NIH. She works in the Bureau of Weights and Standards. She's working setting standards for DNA identification. And Susan DeRessa is in Michigan, at the University of Michigan, in their clinical hospital facility, working in their clinical lab, working on sequencing and so forth. And then Maroon Bariti, who was one of the authors on that much cited paper that was mentioned, is working in Pfizer at the headquarters in Indianapolis in a lab on drug discovery. Have I left anyone out? I don't think so, right? Have I?
Well, it takes hours to go through the whole list, so.
Pardon?
It would take us hours to go through the whole list, so we can.
Yes, well, anyway. And the medical students I've worked with all over the years, it's a big list. I don't want to get the big thank you list up, but I will say that I want to sell to Adele and Lloyd and their friends and family down under in Halls Creek, Western Australia. I am so grateful for your friendship, which has greatly enriched our lives. And I'm so glad that you're joining us today. And I would thank our family in Tennessee, my in-laws who become my family, and my family in Arkansas that trained me to be the tough Scots-Irish woman I am. And if you knock me down 100 times, I'll get up every damn time, and I've proved it. And I thank my children for being the tough, resilient kids they are that tolerated a working mother. My two girls, each in elementary school, when they were asked to, questions about their mother, what's her favorite color, what's her hobby, they both said work, and they were right. And my son Paul made the journey with me. I asked Laura yesterday a tough question. How long did Moses and the Israelites wander in the wilderness? And it was 40 years. It didn't take me 40 years to find FSU. I got here after about 2 decades, but it did take me a while to come home to FSU. When I got to FSU, I felt like I came home because I was a first-generation student. Nobody in my family had ever graduated from college because of the money thing. And because of work study, I was able to go to college and graduate. I worked in the library, and my best job of all was collecting spiders for an arachnologist. I crawled under interstate bridges on Interstate 30, crossing to the counties where we lived, and scraped mud dauber nests under the bridges and cracked them open and collected the spiders that those mud daubers had collected for their babies, the larvae, when they hatched, to eat when they hatched. And that was not a glamorous job, but it was interesting. The only thing that was scary was getting under those bridges. I was really scared I would come in contact with a snake, and I was deadly afraid of snakes. But the thing that's important to know was that I went to college at the right time because of work study. Work study enabled my going and graduating from college. And many of the students that I met when I started to teach at FSU, PIM students and biology undergrads, and when I was teaching micro and human biochem, in those days we actually had contact with students one-on-one in pre-pandemic days. And I found that most of them were first-generation students, and they were working their way through college too. And I found that FSU is the kind of university that actually supported those kinds of students. And I found out much later that FSU actually had programs that put real money into supporting those kinds of students, and our college puts real money into supporting those kinds of students in our various outreach programs. So our university puts their money where its mouth is and makes sure that first-generation students can actually get through college and succeed, which is great for our nation and for our state. And that's the guts of my talk, is that I'm a first-generation student, and I came home when I got to FSU. And I'm so glad that I found my way here. It only took 2 decades. And my son Paul made the whole journey with me from Memphis to Houston to Kansas City to Tallahassee, changed schools 5 times. And my point is, I was studying the medical education continuum. And when we got to Tallahassee, I became PIMS director because Bob Reeves was the PIMS director, and I went to work in the chemistry department with Bill Marslove. And it's Bill's fault that I was in the right position to create the medical school. And I was teaching the PIMS students. And anyway, I studied U.S. College of Medicine. And people are pretty dumb. They didn't realize what was coming, because what I noticed in all those med centers where I went was that the patients weren't in the hospital. They were out in the community. It didn't take a rocket scientist or an economist to figure that out. And I could see what was coming. The impact of insurance and HMOs, etc., was visible. You could see what was happening in America. And so when I went to the Harvard Macy program, and I wanted to mention my mentor, Liz Armstrong, and the book, The Innovator's Dilemma by Clayton Christensen, who died just this year, that structured my thinking about what a medical school in the 21st century should look like. And I want to thank them for that. And it was easy. I came back to Tallahassee being at that meeting for the first time, and I came back knowing that the two enemies of change are history and tradition. That's obvious, but most people don't realize it. And since we did not have a traditional medical school here already, we didn't have all those big, powerful, rich departments to be our adversaries, but we had some prickly departments anyway that tried to be obstacles, but they could not be successful because they did not have the right weapons to fight us with. Anyway, that's the guts of my talk, that I am so appreciative now to the support of the president and the provost in nominating me, and the dean and Dr. Littles for nominating me for this prestigious award, which I am humbled by, I must tell you, because this job has, as I said already, and I'll repeat it, allowed me to pursue my personal mission, which is to help students find their success in life. And I get to do that for a living. That is a blessing indeed. And to be involved in this medical school project has been an unbelievable blessing. It was, yes, a lot of work. And my beautiful children tolerated my being married to my job so well. They went off to their colleges. Paul graduated from Auburn University, Lily from the University of Georgia, and Samantha from Rhodes College in Memphis, Tennessee, and all three of them are very successful in their jobs, and I am so proud of them and their spouses. And my son Paul and his wife Paula have given me 3 grandchildren. My grandson Hunter is a junior at this university, and he was on the president's list in the fall, and he is in a biomedical engineering major and is interested in going into medicine. He's the only one of our children that wants to follow in medicine because they've seen too much of what it took out of their pops, as they call him. And then there's Madison, my precious and only granddaughter, who wants to follow her brother, Hunter, to Florida State University in a couple of years. And so that's a heads up for my president and the provost that she's coming. She's at Fletcher House School in Jacksonville, and she'll be applying in a couple of years. That's a plug for her, Madison Aldridge. Anyway, and in my other grandson, Derek, in the U.S. Navy, stationed in Whitby Island off the state of Washington, and his son Braden, who is my grandson, and I know a great-grandson, and I look way too young to have a great-grandson, right? My genes have moved on to the 3rd generation. That's a shock to me, believe me, but he is as cute as a button. Anyway, I have many more grandsons. I have 3 more, thanks to Lily. There's Marshall, named for George Say, and my only uncle on my mother's side. And then my other grandsons, Lincoln, named for President Lincoln, and then Isaac, named for the famous physicist. And I have my 2 friend physicists here. I have a affinity for physicists, apparently. And And then I guess that's it for grandsons right now. I do want to name all the spouses of my children. Paula, married to Paul, and Jason, married to Lily, and Quentin, the newest of my sons-in-law, and he is married to Samantha. And I am very grateful for all of them and very proud of all of them. And I have not yet thanked the star of my family. I married very well my spouse, Julian, who has been my greatest supporter in my career. And I am very thankful that I've told all my mentees that they must marry well. They need to marry someone that will support them in their career. And that's a very important thing in life. And I'm forgetting something I wanted to say right there. But anyway, he's been very supportive. I guess I wanted to mention my stroke that I had several years ago. I had a very bad stroke, and everybody in this room knows that. And I wanted to thank my family for being so supportive during that period, and the president and the provost and my dean for supporting me financially during that period to write my book and so forth. And thanks so much for that. And all my friends in this room for keeping my spirits up during that period. Some of you visited me every week and came and talked to me and really helped me in a period of time when I couldn't walk or talk, really. And I was so grateful for it. Thank you so much for helping me through that period. And I have come back pretty strong, I believe. And I wrote the book that my husband actually said he was afraid I would not ever be able to write. He thought my brain was pretty scrambled after that stroke. Well, some of my neural connections, the electricity in there was a little bit, how we say, confused. But it all kind of straightened out eventually. And I might have purged a few little neurons that's a good excuse anyway. If I run into somebody that I don't recognize, I say, well, that neuron must have died in the stroke. And it's a really good excuse that people can't argue with. Anyway, I want to thank everyone that I would have had in this stack of cards, and my friends on both casts, the two gals, Palo Alto gal, my friend from my childhood, she's about 3, and the Ramble School Facebook group, my elementary school friends like Sherry and James and so forth, and thanks for your support of my book. And Destin Gill, who taught with me in Ozark, Arkansas, in the foothills of the Ozarks, and everyone else that I would have had in the stack. We don't want to drone on for ages because some of you look like you're missing lunch. So anyway, thank you to my president and my dean for being so appreciative of all my ideas. I know who I've left out. Helen, my partner in crime in creation of all the programs, and Thesla and the Myra pipeline. They're so helpful, and they actually were quite responsible in the creation. And I see Anthony sitting over here. He stepped in and took over the IMS program without missing a step, without the two old ladies involved in the creation, and we were off in the sunset already out in our green pastures, and he didn't call us on the phone or email us constantly asking us questions, which I would have welcomed, but he seemed to know, almost intuitively knew what to do, and that's a rare quality. And the one time I asked him a question, he was flawless in his answer. So thank you so much, Anthony, for taking over that program, because we didn't have time to let big problems little problems into big problems. We have too many kids depending on us. And again, I want to thank Reid and Beth for keeping the lab going, and all of that is so important to me and to them as well, and the students that were coming on behind us. And I want to thank Lily for all she's done in the IMS program. And Samantha, I'm so proud of what you've been doing in the outreach program. She seems like she's got some of her mom's DNA where that's concerned. Some of her things that she's told me about what she enjoys working out in Gadsden County. I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of all three of you, actually. Your work, Paul, is so important out there in the community in Jacksonville. And you know it's a tough, tough job. He's a detective over there in Duval County. He's their video expert. And if any of you have video questions about video security, this guy knows everything. Anyway, so he's the one that in court can validate the authenticity of video data. All right, I guess that's it for that. And I'll just tell you that I do not walk on water. And it is true that I'm looking for a new mountain to climb because I do like challenges. But I will say my family in Arkansas is truly to be thanked for training me to be a tough, skint Irish woman. And all the men in my family, my cousins, and the uncles and all of them, and my father, they never once told me that a woman could not do this or that. If I wanted to go fishing or hunting, they said, sure, let's go. But listen, if I said I can't walk that far, then that was that. It was done. I had to be tough enough to do it if I asked to do it. And that's excellent training. And if I spoke up to say something, it had to be something somebody wanted to hear. It had to be worth hearing. And that's good training for a child. So anyway, I thank them for being them. And I thank my husband's family for being them as well. And I love all of them a lot, wherever they are. And I guess that's enough of that. Thank you.